Hello, guys. Welcome back to the Bar Gym Reviews. Today, my top 5 tips to help you upkeep your gym. And you want to stick around for number 5 because it's one that even seasoned home gym veterans will overlook. All right, before I get into my first tip here, um, why? Why do you want a clean space to work out in? So, it's been shown, and this is just from personal experience, but I know it's across the internet as well, that if you are comfortable in your environment, you're more likely to do that thing, right? So for a home gym, training at home is different than training at a commercial gym, right? A commercial gym, hopefully everybody has wiped down everything or whatever, right? And if you look at any successful commercial gym, they're nice, they're clean, they're organized, because it's very inviting, right? So if you want to continue to show progress and have gains when it comes to the weight room in your home gym, you need to be comfortable in your home gym, right? So having a clean and efficient space is one way that you can do this. All right. So tip number 1 is obviously we have to keep the horse stall mats or your gym floor clean. For me, I have horse stall mats. I have 18 of them. And if it was up to me and not my wife, we'd have 21 of them down in the basement. And for me, you have to start with a clean space for your equipment and for yourself, right? Depending on the workouts, you're going to utilize the floor space no matter what. But many of us, we get on the ground, right? Maybe you're doing abs down there. Maybe you're doing floor presses, right? There's a lot of movements that involve you being on the ground, near the ground, and having a clean space on your floor just sets you up for success in the rest of your gym. So for me, it's pretty simple. I like to sweep my floor. Many of you I know use the leaf blowers, which works, gets the debris out. You want to get that dust and particles off of your floor before you put a cleaning solution down. So for me, I use a Dyson vacuum. It doesn't have to be a Dyson vacuum though; they're kind of expensive, right? You can get something like Shop Vac, one of those really cheap Shop Vacs. They work just fine, right? So it gets the particles and gets everything off the floor. For me, I got dogs that are constantly wrestling on the floor, and I got a young child and another child on the way that they're going to play on the floors, right? They're going to be on my horse stall mats, so I want to keep them as clean as I possibly can. So what I like to use is I use a concentrate, but just for this video sake, I do like to use Simple Green. It's a pretty mild cleaner. It doesn't have a lot of chlorine or anything crazy like that. It's a super irritant. So this kind of gets the job done. It keeps everything smelling fresh down here, but it also gives the gym a good look. Keeps the floors nice and clean. So what I like to do for flooring, for me personally, being indoors in a pretty controlled environment, um, do it as needed. But for me, I try to do it once a month. Sometimes in between, it gets messy and then you have to sweep or whatever or spot clean. But it's a really, really easy way to clean your horse stall mats is just sweep, simple green solution, mop it, and it dries pretty quick. Pro tip, use really hot water. It dries even faster. All right, so number 2 on my tips to upkeep your gym or to keep it nice and clean and a good space for you to work out in is you got to clean off the actual equipment, right? So again, not a plug, not a promotion for Simple Green, but Simple Green, or you could use a disinfectant spray. For me, I really like this little attachment from Wall Control. It's got a paper towel holder on here. I personally like the shop towels. So if you buy the Scott's or even Brawny, I'm sure has them. Shop towels, they work phenomenal. They're a little less. There's a little less particles that are given off. They shred a little bit less than our counterparts. So real quick demonstration, pretty simple. Had a lift today that involves some chalk. I use liquid chalk. Sometimes it spills. Things happen, and it's pretty simple, right? So for much of my equipment, all you got to do, I give a few sprays. I use the shop towel, and then we wipe it clean. And then just like that, it's brand new, right? So when you are using your equipment, I like to do this about once a month. Go around and clean your equipment, right? So for me, I use it on my Rogue Adjustable Bench 3.0. I use it on my Titan leg extension leg curl version 2. And then I have a few other things that I kind of like to wipe down with the Simple Green. You could also take a microfiber towel and kind of just dust things off as well. So things that keep your gym space nice and clean. Again, for me, this is a mild cleaner. I kind of enjoy the smell of it as well. I know some people like pine sol and stuff like that, that smell. All right. Part of tip 2 as well is going to be cleaning off your barbell equipment and your metal equipment. So for me, I have Cerakote bars. I don't have bare steel. I don't have stainless steel outside of maybe the lat bar that I have. So to upkeep on these, I'm not going to go into a real deep dive, but I do want to show you a gadget or a types of gadgets that will help you clean your gym. So for me, I have this 360-degree nylon brush. This brush can curve or move to the bar. And anytime you have a lot of grime in here, inside the knurling especially, you can use the brush to kind of get around it. Give it a brush. You can go this way as well. Nylon works just fine. I've heard brass works pretty well as well. I also have a Rogue brush. This one's a little bit softer. I feel like when I get something that maybe in a tight space, I can get in there and kind of use it to get the grime out. And then what I like to do as well, and again, this is not a barbell maintenance video, so I use the 3-in-1 oil, right? Because it cleans and lubricates and kind of keeps things maintained. It's an all-purpose lubricant and cleaner. So I like to use that to kind of give it one final coat. For those of you that have bare steel bars, this is going to be something that you need to do routinely. For me, I do this probably once every 3 to 4 months. So a few times a year will I actually put some 3-in-1 on. But just as a demonstration and, just to show you how easy this really is, what I do is, I go on the bar, put just a little bit, try to not let it drip. And then I just rub that in. And then again, it keeps that barbell looking nice and shiny. And personally, some people have had issues where they're like, the claim of, I'm going to lose grip or whatever. This stuff dries eventually pretty, as long as you're not using it directly after, it works just fine. So again, makes this look a lot better. And then for you guys, again, with the bare steel, because I have Cerakote. Cerakote's going to be pretty durable in all kinds of weather situations. Plus, I'm in a controlled humidity environment in my basement. But for me, I like it because it makes the black kind of pop. But it does, you're eventually going to get some little nicks and stuff in your barbells and in your equipment. And this is just a great way to help protect it from rust, keep things lubricated. So if you zoom in down here, if my camera person can, I have those bronze bushings that are in there. And I lubricate these at least 3 times a year, if not 4 times a year. And again, it's a very versatile product to use. The 3-in-1, and this keeps your equipment lasting longer, right? It makes the equipment work better, especially if you're going to use a bar that needs a lot of spin. And ultimately, if it looks good, you're going to want to pick it up and use it, right? So part of tip number 2 in our equipment, use some 3-in-1 oil. Get a nice brush that you can trust to help clean up your barbells and your metal equipment. All right, so tip number 3 in upkeeping your gym is going to be controlling your environment, or at least controlling as much as possible. For me, I live in Ohio, so it gets pretty cold and then dramatically gets hot, and sometimes they're kind of back-to-back days. So for me, though, I'm in a basement gym, so this totally depends on your gym space. But for me, the biggest thing that I'm going to battle isn't temperature. It's going to be humidity. So I have a dehumidifier here. I have a high-sense dehumidifier. It works great. I like to keep it at a pretty low setting, usually about 40 to 30% humidity down here. That way I can save and on my longevity and extend the life of some of the metal products that I have in here, right? So I'm avoiding rust. But for you guys, this could mean heating. That could mean kerosene heating. That could mean, just plug-in heating. That could mean a mini split. That could be something as much as insulation and heating, or a full-blown unit for your space. So when you think out your space, climate control is very important. Now, for me in the basement, it's pretty simple. It's going to be the temperature of my house. However, humidity is a factor, so that is why I have a dehumidifier here, because I want my humidity to be even lower to make sure that I maintain the longevity of my equipment by not allowing it to rust and corrode, like it would be out in nature, right? So for you, when you're building your home gym or when you're thinking about it, make sure that you account for this as one of your top things to consider is the temperature, how comfortable are you going to be in your space, but also your equipment, right? So to upkeep your equipment, what is going to give your equipment the longevity that you want it to have, right? So humidity is one of the key factors. So my tip number 3, keep your environment, try to control your climate of your gym as much as possible. All right, so tip number 4 is going to be managing your cables, cleaning the cables. Specifically for me, I have the Rep Arcadia, and you have to clean the guide rods. So there's a few different solutions you can do for this. So number 1, I like to take a shop towel, or you can take a microfiber towel. I would suggest if you're going to use something that's an oil base, it's never going to come out, right? So make it that your towel for that. So what I like to do is you have to lubricate the rods here, right? So I like to have mine a little clean off here first. And then for me personally, I like to use a silicone quick dry spray. I use the WD-40 version, so it keeps it lubricated, keeps it dry as well, so it's not all oily. Now, this is what I use. You could also use the 3-in-1 oil that I had previously mentioned, because again, it's still going to lubricate. It's still going to protect it from kind of rust and any kind of buildup over time, right? So for me, I personally go with the spray. Pretty simple. I like to just, when I just like to spray this, and then the affected area, I'm just going to come in here on the guide rod, and I'm going to give it just a little bit of a wipe here. Make sure you do both sides, obviously. And when I do that, then what I'm going to do is then I'm going to use the machine. So I like to put mine on a pretty light weight, say 10 pounds. And then I like to move this all the way up the guide rod. So I'll do a few reps of something. You can just get the machine. And then get that, make sure that that's completely lubricated up and down the entire guide rod. So it is pivotal for the lifespan of your cable equipment specifically to make sure that you clean the guide rods. Also, what you can do is if you're having issues with the actual pulley wheels, I haven't had any issues. I've had the Rep Arcadia for over 2 years now. You could also take those apart, and you could also put some 3-in-1 oil in there as well. So for the overall longevity and health of your cable machines, make sure that you are lubricating them. I like to do mine once a month. If you're in a commercial gym kind of application, I would do it more than once a month, probably once a week. And if you're not using your cables that often, then maybe you could stretch it out a little bit more. I know suggested, it usually says 1 to 3 months. I don't like to play any games. I paid a lot of money for this equipment, so I do mine every single month. I try to just do it on the first of the month. And then that way, over a long period of time, I can extend the life of my cable machine, and hopefully the Rep Arcadia can last me a very long time. All right, so one bonus tip for the longevity of your gym to kind of upkeep it. Many of us like to use chalk. I like to use chalk to keep my grip. I personally like liquid chalk because it keeps the area a little bit cleaner for a little bit longer, right? So this still does create a powdery substance, obviously, that is going to get on your barbells, maybe get into the knurling here, but it's just that area. I used to have chalk blocks, and in a commercial gym, when you have them, the stuff just kind of gets everywhere. It's kind of in the air. It's kind of all over the place. Now, some of us like that, but for me, another just quick little tip before we get to our number one, our last tip that many of us overlook on a day-to-day basis when it comes to home gym upkeep, is liquid chalk. All right, so for the last tip number 5, the one that's overlooked by many of us, even us that have been in the gym for a long time or have used our home gym for a long time, that can be a big thing that people forget about, which is shoes. So using a shoe that is dedicated to the gym is something that's going to keep your space clean for a longer period of time. So bacteria, whether you know this or not, some things that have the highest amount of bacteria is the bottom of your shoes, right? So we're talking about dirt and grime and other, again, bacteria and viruses that live on here. Um, what you can do is you can have dedicated shoes for your gym. So for me, I have three dedicated shoes, we'll call it. So I have my Metcons that I really like because they're nice and flat, and I use them for squatting. I also have a pair of wrestling shoes because I like to jump rope in them and do some kind of wrestling movements. So if I'm going to do something like that, I'll use those as well. And then I also have, yes, a pair of slides, flip flops, Nike flip flops. Those aren't just exclusive to the gym, but they're exclusive to indoors, right? So I'm not going to use them outdoors and bring everything in. So this could help you avoid maybe some illness, but also keep your space clean, especially if your gym is located indoors, as far as like inside the house, down in the basement. Now, if you're a heathen like those garage gym people, you're going to just have dust and particles in there anyway, so you can kind of skip this part. But having a dedicated maybe running shoe for your treadmill, dedicated lifting shoes, things that are not going to leave your space, right? So overall, hopefully these tips can help you maintain your equipment to help it look good, help your workouts go better, and then of course the ultimate goal is extending the life of this home gym, right? This is something that I've spent a lot of time, effort, and money, and I want it to look good. I want everything to feel good, and I want it to be clean and a safe space for me to lift, get stronger, and get in better shape. So if you like what we're doing here on the channel, please like, please subscribe, and please comment. What are some things that you guys are doing to upkeep your equipment? For me, I don't have a lot of, specific pieces of equipment like a leg press or hack squat or anything like that. So for those kind of things, those machines, how are you upkeeping those? How are you to plan to extend the longevity of that equipment? So please comment and let me know your guys' thoughts, and we'll see you next time.